Hey everyone, Leanne here from Kingdom Bloggers. So let's talk about guest posting. I always see people asking for guest posts, for people to write guest posts for their own sites or to seek out guest posting opportunities. So we're going to kind of break down what we're going to call guest posting 101, the do's and don'ts of guest posting. So what is guest posting? Guest posting is like I have Kingdom Bloggers, that's my website, and you reach out and ask if you can write an article on my site. And usually you get a backlink. In other words, you can insert a link in that post that you write that links back to an article on your own website. This can be a great way to build backlinks. Really, there's a lot of misconception about backlink or link building, and I will cover that in another video. But for today's purposes, we're just going to kind of break down the right and the wrong way to go about guest posting and what you should really use it for. So, number one, I want to say that most people are doing guest posting entirely wrong. They are using it kind of just to seek out opportunities to write for other people. And while that may seem like a good thing because you're getting a backlink on someone else's blog, just a quick overview of backlinks. The idea behind backlinks is really to get links to your new site from another site that has a higher authority. So if you're just guest posting for others who don't have any organic traffic or who are brand new as well, it really doesn't benefit either of you because the goal with posting content is to get organic traffic. And if both new sites, like the owners, don't really understand SEO, that traffic's never going to come because the content's never going to show up in search results. So we'll have a whole other series, I already have a whole other series on SEO. And so if you don't know what that is, you definitely want to go watch those because that is the foundation of growing your ministry. But when it comes to guest posting, it can be a great way for newer bloggers to kind of get exposure. But here's the deal. If you have just started your website and you barely have any content on it at all, why would you want to write for somebody else? Number one, spend your time and energy writing for another person's website when you should be building yours. But two, if you do write for their site, and let's say their site is really great and they do get organic traffic and they understand SEO, and then the reader who finds that post on their site clicks the link that brings it back to your site, and you really don't have anything there, right? So it's really in the beginning, as a newer blogger, you should really keep your guest posting to a minimum. Take the time instead of writing for someone else, take the time to actually learn SEO for one, but build the foundation of your own site so that your own site is quality, that it has substance. So when other bloggers do send traffic your way, there's actually more than just a handful of posts there. So I mentioned in one of my previous videos that I use guest posting as a strategy for building one of my three websites. So I have three websites, and the one in question was almost exclusively built with guest posts. The first year was entirely guest posts. Like I did not write any of it. It was all written by people guest posting for me. And now, 2 years into it, I actually pay two writers just so I can have more consistent articles being published, but I still receive guest posts as well. Now, you may say, well, I'm just going to do guest posting and start a website. Well, let's talk about how to do it. First, let's talk about how not to do it. Okay. The bad way to go about guest posting, and when I say bad, I mean not fruitful. Okay. So there's good and bad. There's fruitful and not fruitful, productive, not productive. So that's my kind of litmus test on whether something is good. So if you, like I said, you don't know SEO and you're just randomly writing articles for another website, again, there's no fruit going to come from that. But as a site owner, asking others to write for you. So what I see in a lot of Facebook groups is, hey, everyone, I'm going to be accepting some guest posts for the next couple of months because I'm going to be on vacation or whatever. So if you write on anything about motherhood, let me know. That's the wrong way to do it. As a blogger, if you expect your ministry to grow at all, like organic traffic, you should have a content plan. There is no at the whim, write about whatever you want to write about. You should have done your solid SEO research, see what your target audience is actually looking for online. I have videos for that, by the way. And then have a plan for the entire year of what blog posts are going to be published every month. And those should be based on the research that you've done. And so you have your site structure, your categories. You typically have 3 categories, and then the content should fall into those. So just saying, hey, if you're a mom blog, if you want to write on anything about motherhood, or if you want to write on anything about hope and healing or something like that, that's too broad, too vague. Those topics are too just all over the place. So it's very important that if you're going to accept guest posts, that number one, it comes from your content plan, and then you give your guest poster sort of a framework to go within, to work within. So I'm going to break down kind of 11 things that I use for my guest posting. And I do have an article that will be linked below in the video that sort of kind of overviews everything that I'm talking about here, except it's written form, so you can follow it a little better if you want to revert back to it for notes. So number one, have a plan. Don't just out there like write for me, whatever. Anybody who writes about this can write for me. No, take the topics from your content plan. Like, what you're going to be writing for the rest of the year. Let some other people write that for you. A very specific title. And then with that, so what I do, I create a spreadsheet, Excel docs, Google Docs, whatever they're called. And in that, I will put my guest post opportunities out. Now, I may put 5 post topics on there, or 10 or 20. I do mine in batches. So typically I do 10 to 20 at a time, because this way there's 10 to 20 for people to choose from and not feel so limited, but they all come from my content plan. And so I'll write literally the titles that I want them to be, and then they can put kind of their email list on the side. And then I also have here's the guidelines that you need to know up front. And that'll just say, how, basically I'm going to send you an outline and so forth. So create a plan, provide a list of topics to them from your plan. Very specific, because it came from your plan. Did I say plan enough times? You must have a plan, okay? Then you're going to create an outline. Don't just say, hey, write whatever. And here's why. Most newer bloggers, especially, and even some seasoned bloggers, really don't understand SEO as much as they think they do, which is why their sites don't get a lot of organic traffic. So when you give somebody who has no clue, like they can't even spell SEO, wink, wink. If you give them an outline, an SEO optimized outline, then they are writing within that framework, and the end product will actually be a little more SEO worthy than if they had nothing to go on at all. So providing them an outline with the correct H2 and H3s based on the search query that blog post is going to answer will also result in a lot less editing on your part when you receive the draft back from them. I also, with mine, I create a short little Loom video that explains to them, here's the outline. Here is sort of how I want you to fill it in, right? Give them directions, like here's the average word count I'd like you to shoot for. Write it from a, general perspective, or write it from your own perspective, like how you want it written. And then let them know things like you can include a link back to one blog post on your own site, but that blog post must have some relationship to this post. Like if this post is about Bible study, don't link to a post about, walking your dog. Like SEO juice is built by linking to other related topics. So they are able to provide a link to that. And I usually tell them to just send it to me separate, and then I'll kind of put it in wherever I think it fits most appropriately. So I give them that video, and that way they're not like, what do I do with this outline? I explain it in every detail. Again, I mentioned a word count. Give them a target to shoot for. It doesn't have to be exact. And if you know anything about SEO and writing content, and if you're using a tool like Rank IQ, it'll tell you a target word count. I let them know about the backlink opportunity, like I said. So when they send that back to me, the draft that they've written, I require them to put the link to their post that they want linked. I have them add it at the very bottom of the post, like after the post is written, just at the bottom. That way, because a lot of times they'll link it in and it just doesn't work the way where they want to put it, or if they don't understand how to do proper link text for SEO purposes, then you're gonna have to redo it anyway. So I just have them put it at the bottom, and then I'll go through and figure out where it best fits and how to put it in there. I also have a guest post guidelines form. So that is in Google Forms. That way, when they fill it out and submit it, it comes to me and it's like on my spreadsheet or whatever. And this form goes over kind of my requirements and lets them know. So it's like a contract, I guess, and it'll let them know like, hey, when you write this, this must be original content. Obviously, if you're creating the outline for them, then it will be original, but they can't give you something, or can't give me something, I should say, that they've already published somewhere else. You never ever do that. When you write a piece of content, it should only be published once on one website. You never republish content on another website, but that's another story. Okay. And once it's published on my site, they cannot republish it anywhere else. Like I'm telling that it must be original for my site, and then you cannot take this content and write it verbatim for somebody else's site, including their own site. And then I also give them a little tips on how they can share it, because obviously you want them to share, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So the guidelines also say you understand that I may make edits for SEO purposes. I'm not going to make edits to the total form of the content. Like it's still going to be their words and their what they've written, but I might do some minor tweaking for the purposes of SEO. Again, the point of writing content for my blog is for that piece of content to rank on page 1 so that it reaches people and drives traffic back to the site. That's the goal. So if the content needs a little tweaking, then you reserve the right to do that. It also states that after 12 months, I may make major updates to it to keep it ranking and competitive for ranking purposes. And so after 12 months, that's when you usually look and see kind of where it's at. And at that time, it may actually need quite a bit of overhaul. Now, me personally, if I have to make major updates, like a lot of updates, then I will usually change it to where the author is me and take their name off of it. However, I do leave their internal link in it so that they do not lose out on the referral traffic. But if I'm just making a few minor adjustments here and there, then and nothing major to what they've written, then I will usually leave it as their guest post. But again, if I make major significant changes, then I will take their name off and put mine on it. Let's see. This is in the guidelines. It also gives them instructions for sending me a pic, a face, headshot, as well as a short bio of 1 to 2 sentences that I can use in their author bio section. Can't talk today. Let's see. So right to make SEO edits after 1 year. And then the final one that instructions that I give them is when they write this content, they are not allowed to put any subscriber forms. Like a subscriber form is meant for your website. You don't put your subscribe forms on somebody else's website. You just don't do that. Now, that's why the internal link is there to link them to a post on your site. And in that post should have your own subscribe form. So no sign up forms, and they are not allowed to use affiliate links. Now, if there's a product recommendation they have, they're more than willing, or, I'm more than happy for them to let me know about that. But you cannot put your affiliate links on someone else's website. I've had numerous people try to do this, and it just doesn't work that way. Your affiliate links are tracked. And when you apply to affiliate programs, it's based on that you own, so to speak, the location, meaning your website. And of course, you don't own your Facebook post, but it's still your profile. And so you just don't put your affiliate links on other people's websites. And so that's kind of it. And so I usually give them about a 2-week period. So I have a no later than date. If they want to send it to me early, that's great. But I give them no more than 2 weeks, because I have found over the years of doing this, anything over 2 weeks, people forget. And unfortunately, a lot of people will sign up for guest posting and they don't treat it as a commitment. They're just like, oh yeah, I'll guest post. And then you never hear from them again. Here's the thing. If you're somebody that has done that, I'm going to be very honest with you, but polite as well. Stop doing that. When you sign up to guest post for someone, you're making a commitment, because their work schedule is based on the commitment you've made. So when you don't honor your commitment, you are actually impacting their ability to keep to their work plan. So what that looks like is when people sign up for my guest post, I have a content plan, a publishing schedule, and when you don't turn it in on time, then that puts me behind, right? And that's just not a good way to go about building relationships for one. But if you're treating your own ministry that way, there's no wonder that it's not growing, right? And even if you're not monetizing your ministry, you should still treat it like a business and keep your commitments and don't sign up for things that you don't have time for. But as a person who accepts guest posts, for those of you who do want to try this strategy, just understand that you will have to deal with this kind of stuff. I don't actually send out reminders. I just have too many things going on. And honestly, I think if I make a commitment, I have my little calendar right here. Any commitment I make, I write it down there and I put it on there. I actually give myself reminders so that I don't forget. And I guess I just have that expectation of anybody else that signs up to a guest post for me. We're all adults here, right? So, but however you want to do it, this is just how I do it. And so if I don't receive their draft by the deadline date, I usually let it go about a week. And sometimes if I'm feeling it, I'll reach out and be like, hey, did you forget about me? Many times they'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot. Here, let me and they'll send me something really fast and it's obvious. And when they do that, I will tell them no, thank you. If you want to take another 2 weeks to write it, then fine. But I'm not going to take a rushed piece of content because you didn't plan accordingly. So, and that might sound kind of harsh, but this is a ministry. I treat it like a business. And I have three websites plus my courses, plus I have a podcast and YouTube. So I have a lot going on. And if I can honor my own commitments to myself, I just expect that same courtesy from anyone who wants to collaborate with me. And my whole goal was to collaborate with other creators. So anyway, that's just kind of how I go about it. Not saying you have to do that, but at the end of the day, you do have a website to run and you can't be chasing down people, because then you'll never get anything done. So anyway, off that soapbox. So I use the guest posting for the one site. The entire content plan, I would do about 10 to 20 topics or titles, I should say, and I would put them out. And then I would say, okay, these are for a due date of, and I put the date, and then everyone would sign up. Excuse me, I would go create the outline. I would send them the outline and remind them of the due date. And so I would get them all back within a few days of each other. Some people would send them early, and I really appreciated that. And then I would go through and edit them. I do my own images, the pinnable image, the featured image, and all that, and then publish it. And so I was publishing a lot of content on a single day sometimes. But again, guest posting can help you. So if you're short for time, like I do this is my job. Like I do this, 24/7, not really. But this is my full-time thing. But I know many of you maybe only have a few hours a week that you can commit to your blog. And so this might be a way for you to double the amount of output. So if you could only say write 2 to 3 posts a month, but you could farm out 2 or 3 guest posts a month, then that's going to double the amount of content that you're able to publish. And obviously, the more content that you have published, the closer or the more traffic you're going to get. I say the closer to 50K because that's what most people are striving for. But if you're only able to put out a few posts a month, it's going to take you much longer to reach the goal. So this is a way to maximize your efforts, help some other people get some writing opportunities, and also, learn some SEO. If you're providing them good training, you can send them my free SEO course. That is very, very insightful for people who have no idea what SEO is. I've been told it's very, very helpful. But again, it's been very helpful for me. I use it on that site. I'm beginning to use it on my third site now that I'm really focusing on that one. I've used it on Kingdom in the past. My Kingdom bloggers team is a team of paid writers, as well as the ladies in my membership as a bonus kind of benefit for them. But this can definitely help you reach higher goals than you think you're able to reach. But again, so these are like the do's and don'ts. Number one, for the don'ts, don't just randomly put out topics. Don't just say, hey, I'm accepting guest posts on any of these topics. Send me something. Don't do that. Also, if you are just getting started, don't be spending your time guest posting for people. Spend that energy and that time writing for your own site. Let me tell you a quick story. Kind of, it's a backtrack. I should have kind of told you this up front, but so I went through Elite Blog Academy several years ago, and one of the things they pushed was backlinks. Like, you got to get Haro requests and, find all these backlink opportunities. And then on your homepage, put this also featured on. That was building your credibility with Google, right? The truth is that backlink strategy is really only important for the competitive niches like finance, food blogging, things like that. Fortunately for us, Christian blogging, Bible study, prayer, and so forth, it's not really considered competitive. I have not myself guest posted for a single other website. Not because I didn't want to. Honestly, I've just never had the time because I have so many other things going on. But that has not hindered me in any way. My website right now, Kingdom Bloggers, reaches about 159, 60,000 sessions, 160K sessions every month without a single intentional backlink. Now, I have backlinks because other bloggers link to my content and so forth, but I've never reached out for those backlink opportunities. So the whole backlink strategy is kind of misguided. Also, back to that EBA class that I took, they were spending all that time seeking out Haro opportunities and trying to reach out to high DA sites and all this stuff. So fast forward 2 to 3 years, I didn't do any of that. I just focused on content. Y'all, anyone who's watched my videos knows I talk content is king, right? Well, God is king. We know that. But for blogging, content is the goal. And so 2 to 3 years later, I would meet up with some of these bloggers that had gone through EBA with me, Christian bloggers as well as secular. And my thing is, anytime I'm talking to someone that's a blogger, I immediately go to Ahrefs and I stalk their site. Like, I want to see what kind of traffic they have, how well they're doing. And to my amazement, my site was actually it was getting close to 100K. I think about the time it was like 70K a month. And this is like 3 years later. Their sites had a barrage of also featured on, like I've written for all these other high profile sites, parenting sites and Time and Forbes magazine. Oh, it looked really great. You're like, wow, you're really cool. And I don't mean that in a nasty way, but when I Ahref'd them, they didn't have any organic traffic. The point being, they spent all this time writing content for somebody else's website. And 3 years later, their site had no authority, no traffic, or maybe they built their authority, but they had no organic traffic coming to their site. So the guest posting it's not what people think it is. It is a tool that can be very beneficial and very useful if you use it properly. But if you're just using it to get those backlinks, you're kind of wasting time as a Christian blogger. Now, again, if you're in a competitive niche, that's a whole different story. But for us, write for your own site. Build your foundation before you start helping others build theirs. That's what it comes down to. Build your foundation first. So, okay, that's all. I know I went through a lot, but I know I just see the guest posting all the time. I will tell you, if you're in my Facebook group and you see there's women that post their guest posting opportunities, the only ones I allow to post those in my group are those who've either gone through my boot camp or have taken one of my SEO courses and I've actually seen the result. Like, I see that they know what they're doing. And it's not that you can't do that unless you're taking my course. It's not about that. I don't want you putting opportunities out there for other bloggers to waste their time or your time, really. So if it's not productive, I don't allow it. So just for those of you who have seen it in my group, it's like, well, she's saying this, but don't do it. The ladies who are allowed to post those in my group, their sites are solid, their SEO is solid, they know what they're doing, and they're now using guest posting to kind of lessen their own workload. But it will also benefit you because you will benefit from the referral traffic that comes by putting the link in the post that you write for them. So, anyway, all right, everyone, I hope this was helpful. I hope this sort of broke down the whole guest posting dues, like what is it all about, and maybe save you some time so that you can spend more of that time doing your own foundation. As always, if you have any questions, hop over to my Facebook group. Please like this video if you found it helpful, and I will see you all in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.